In the polished and sunny history of Hollywood, Ron Howard is often celebrated as the ultimate nice guy, a steady, polite director who successfully navigated the treacherous transition from child star to Oscar winner. However, maintaining a career at the peak for over 60 years requires more than just kindness. It requires an incredibly thick skin. Ron Howard's first true masterclass in the sharp edges of the industry didn't come from a director or a critic, but from a woman the entire world knew as the personification of maternal warmth. At the age of 6, while playing the role of Opie on The Andy Griffith Show, Howard was thrust into a daily reality that was a jarring contradiction to the domestic utopia of Mayberry. His teacher in this cold reality was Frances Bavier. To the millions of Americans who tuned in during the 1960s, Frances Bavier was Aunt Bee. She was the stabilizing force of the Taylor household, a woman whose primary concerns were the safety of her nephew and the crispness of her pickles. But for the young Ron Howard, the reality of working with Bavier was his first encounter with the mask of Hollywood. While the world saw a doting, gentle aunt, the cast and crew saw a classically trained New York stage actress who lived in a state of perpetual, icy professional disdain. Bavier did not see herself as part of a good old boys ensemble in a rural comedy. She saw herself as a serious, dramatic artist trapped in a medium she considered beneath her pedigree. This created a unique kind of friction, a quiet, heavy emotional coldness that a child actor like Howard was uniquely sensitive to. Howard quickly learned that the Mayberry built on communal love was, for Bavier, an island of professional austerity. She didn't want to be Aunt Bee once the cameras stopped rolling. She wanted to be respected for her stage work, and she felt that a sitcom about a small-town sheriff was an insult to her training. From Andy Griffith, Howard learned about leadership, humor, and the joy of collaboration. From Bavier, however, he learned a much darker professional lesson. The person smiling at you in the script might be the one most likely to ignore you at the craft services table. The tension was not merely a feeling in the air, it was a wall. Howard noted that Bavier was deeply offended by the casual, improvisational nature of the set. While Andy Griffith and Don Knotts were laughing and ad-libbing, Bavier remained rigid and disapproving. One of the most famous examples of her volatility involved actor Jim Nabors, who played Gomer Pyle. Nabors was known for his incredible singing voice and cheerful disposition, but his high energy eventually snapped Bavier's patience. Legend has it that she once took a swing at him with an umbrella because his singing annoyed her. For the young Ronnie Howard, this was a confusing introduction to the industry. He was forced to perform intense intimacy, hugging her and looking at her with adoration, with a woman who, in reality, offered him nothing but polite distance or visible annoyance. This taught Howard a vital directorial lesson that would define his later career. The performance of chemistry is often an act of sheer will rather than a reflection of genuine affection. Bavier's behavior was a manifestation of a misplaced identity, the golden age ghost of an actor haunted by the roles they felt they should have played. She struggled with the fact that despite decades of serious stage work, she would only ever be remembered for a character she essentially despised. This resentment bled into her interactions with the young Howard. She wasn't mean in a traditional sense, but she was emotionally unavailable, creating a vacuum where a child performer expected a mentor. It was a coldness that forced Howard to grow up faster, realizing that a family on screen is often just a collection of strangers holding a contract. As the years went on, while the rest of the cast remained a tight-knit unit, Bavier retreated further into her shell. When she eventually retired to North Carolina, she became a recluse, refusing to participate in the reunions that Howard and Griffith cherished. Howard has since spoken of her with a mix of pity and respect, acknowledging that while her unhappiness made her difficult, her discipline made her a professional. She never missed a mark, and she never forgot a line. By navigating the chilly waters of Bavier's temperament, Howard learned the first rule of Hollywood survival: the character is a lie. He learned that a filmmaker can create a masterpiece of warmth while standing in a room full of ice. Ultimately, Bavier showed him that behind the gilded image of a legend, there is often a person struggling with a profound sense of loss, teaching him to manage the human ego with a level of patience and empathy that would eventually make him one of the most successful directors in history.